Hey everybody, you're very welcome to this morning's episode of Elevenses. This is the final episode of our four-part series on the 4A framework. So attribution, assets, audience and automation. For the keen-eye viewers amongst you, you'll notice we have some new friendly faces in the Elevenses studio here. We've Claire O'Brien and Katie Nocton from Omnicom Media Group. You're very welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thanks. Before we, I suppose, have the pleasure of hearing from Katie and Claire, we're going to just do a quick recap on 4A framework on the last 3 episodes. So look, folks, the 4A's framework shouldn't come as a surprise for the majority of you. It's nothing overly new. And also, you know, you're already adopting it in some form of another. It is important for us here at Google to educate you guys, those that are using our products, on the best ways of doing so, i.e. adopting the 4A's framework, so attribution, assets, audience, automation. Now, we've touched on it, each of the 4A's in detail across the last few episodes, and I'm sure you've got different resources online and so on. But what we need to make clear here is that it's not a 4 siloed strategies. It's it's mutually dependent levers that work together in tandem to achieve the best results. I suppose that's the ultimate goal. It hasn't changed. Is to achieve the best results for your client or for your own business. So I suppose without further ado, and without me harping on for too long, we'll hand it over to Katie and Claire. So yeah, you're both very welcome. Do you mind sharing a little introduction, please?
Yeah, I'm Claire O'Brien. I'm the head of search in Omnicom Media Group Ireland. Within Omnicom Media Group Ireland, we have 2 full service agencies, so OMD and PhD. And within them, we have search specialist teams that would look after all of the search activity for our various clients.
Correct.
So I'm Katie. I work in OMD and I manage search for a couple of clients, including Specsavers, who we're going to be talking about today.
Great. So Specsavers, looking forward to it. So Katie and Claire, so this is an Elevenses first. We've got an agency on the couch. I hope ye are all excited as we are, emphasis on ye. Now, so I suppose jumping right into it, it's fair to say that tech has disrupted the majority of industries across the world, including marketing and advertisement. From your experience working in an agency as Omnicom Media Group, would you notice, I suppose, a change in the agency role or your day-to-day tasks in your agency workflow?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely agree that there's been an evolution in digital marketing recently. And I would say in particular in search marketing, things have definitely changed and for the better, I would say. And it has changed the agency workflow and how our team would spend their day to day. So even just pulling already on the 4A's, if we think about automation, the team would have previously or historically spent time optimizing bids and adjusting bids manually. Whereas now they're spending a lot more time adjusting bid strategies and looking at, I suppose, the bigger picture for clients and what we can really drive through these automated bid strategies. So thankfully they've advanced and we can see the benefit for our clients on that and our day-to-day work as well.
Brilliant. So I suppose it's, that strategic consulting side of things, time is just, effort and resources just shifted to a different focus. Ultimate aim still being to drive the best results for your clients. So Claire, you touched there on, I suppose, automated bidding, and then we spoke about attribution. So 2 of the fundamental pillars of the 4A framework. Perhaps Specsavers could be a good example. Do you have a 4A approach to terms of how you can share best practices across the Specsavers example with our viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Specsavers is a good example because we've made a lot of strategic changes to our search and the performance has been really, really strong as a result of using kind of all 4A's together. So I suppose the first thing we've looked at is our attribution model, which had a big impact because the first thing you would set with any campaign is KPIs, and how you measure those results is also really important. So that was the first thing we kind of looked at, and we're lucky enough we have enough data that we could use data-driven attribution. So that gave us some really good insights into the user journey and the conversion path that users have and what's actually driving the results for us. And then I suppose the next most important thing is probably for us the ads. So we've completely redone our ad strategy as well, just based on making ads as relevant and kind of personalized as possible for users and make sure we're showing the right message to the right people. And then I suppose part of the right people is our audience strategy. So we've kind of tailored our audience strategy differently than what we had done in the past. So we've now started doing it more so based on products. So they're a client that sells, a number of different products. They have several different audiences, and we've kind of segmented our audiences a bit differently, which has had really good results for us. And then in terms of automation, I guess what it really does is just takes a lot of the kind of heavy lifting out of it for us and makes our time kind of more free to do those more strategic changes. So we have a number of different bid strategies in use in the account, and they've been really effective so far, and they've driven really good results for them.
Brilliant. Thanks a million for sharing that. Very informative. So I suppose for our performance-driven viewers out there, would you be able to share any results off the back of the 4A framework for Specsavers?
Yes, so results have been really, really strong. Obviously, for data privacy, we can't be too specific with the results that we're getting, but we have seen a big reduction in CPA, and everything is just running way more efficiently.
Brilliant. Okay, so that's Specsavers. That's the impact we've seen from it. Is there, I suppose, so we've touched on the fact that they're not siloed strategies; they all work in tandem to achieve the best results. Is there a chronological order, I suppose, that you take towards adopting the 4A framework?
Yeah, so I guess as I went through, it would kind of be the order that I went through in there. So I'd say attribution, because, setting KPIs and measuring KPIs is kind of the first thing. And then assets, because that's the part you control, and that's kind of the part that the user sees and what has the most impact for a user who's searching. And then audiences, because I guess it's just what
showing the right ads.
Self-explanatory. Yeah, after ads, I would say it's definitely the next most important thing. And then automation is sort of just an additional kind of bonus thing that we do if it's available to kind of help drive results and make our jobs easier. Brilliant.
Cool. So let's dissect each of the 4A's, if you don't mind. So let's start off with attribution. How would you, how did you approach this attribution model for Specsavers, or how would you approach it, deciding which attribution model to choose for different clients?
So as I said, we're using data-driven attribution. In general, if it's available, that's what I would implement across any client it's available for, just because it kind of takes the most different points into consideration, and it sort of uses the most learnings, I think. So we want as much information as possible and as much kind of info as we can get from our campaigns and the results. And then if data-driven isn't available, I suppose it really just depends on the client and what their priorities are and what's most important for them. And it also really depends on kind of how the search market is for them. So if there's a client where there's a lot of competitor activity and position on the search results page is really important, then I guess position-based would be super important for them. So that might be something we'd implement. And then time decay, I suppose, is more so for a client where maybe there's a longer path to converting, and maybe that journey takes a bit longer, but it really depends on the client.
Perfect. So I suppose it's go for data-driven attribution if available. If not, doing a client-by-client case study, whether it's position-based or time decay. One question that I get all the time, and my colleagues also, is, we've always historically run off last click. It's difficult to convince our client to, take the switch. Have you any advice? Have you encountered this with some of your clients?
I can see why it can be a difficult thing, because last click has always been what we've done for, it's been the way it's worked for such a long time. But I think we've been quite lucky in that all our clients have been really receptive, and they're delighted that there are more options available, because everyone kind of knows last click is a pretty flawed way of attributing results. So I think just once everyone is really kind of making sure everyone understands what the differences are and what the kind of problems with last click are, then everyone is really receptive. So I think it's just a case of, using the resources that are available and getting information from your agency as well, because everyone, I think, kind of wants the same thing, and ultimately it's clients that are going to be benefiting and they're going to see the best results from it.
I wouldn't be overly modest in saying it was down to luck. I mean, it's some of your expertise in educating the client as well goes a long way. So let's jump to assets, right? So assets is essentially a fancy way of describing the different ads that you're using. Have you any advice for the unsung hero in terms of how to go about creating strong ad copy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, assets it's been around forever. You could argue, and you could say, okay, it falls into the 4A's, but it's one of the fundamentals and it's one of the basics that you always need to be optimizing and looking at. And I think definitely in a mobile first world, it's important to remember that there's a lot less real estate, and depending on who your client is and what their goals are, you need to really take that into account. So even just picking up different devices and having a look at your ad on it, often that's forgotten to do, and it's really, really important for making sure that you're putting your best foot forward on a mobile device, because more times than not, that's probably the primary driver of your traffic. And like I said, there is less real estate and it is more competitive.
Sure, I think that's great advice. Put yourself in the user's shoes and, actually test the ads through tablet, mobile, desktop, and so on. So that's assets. Let's quickly run through to audience. So audience, look, it's been around for forever, right? It's just different products available to us now, whether it's remarketing, whether it's similar audience, so on and so forth. Let's say you've landed a new account or you're looking to build out new audience profiles. Any advice that you would have for the users in terms of how to go about targeting the right users with the right ads?
Yeah, I mean, and you made a good point in that it has audiences are the people you're already bidding on. You just didn't know their value. And I would say our advice for if you're starting out with audiences and for a new client is to start simple. Don't you can get bogged down in kind of all the really advanced stuff that you can do with audiences, but actually start simple. Think about it from your client's perspective and your audience perspective, and start with a very high segmentation, I would say. So whether it's existing customers and potential customers, even segmenting at that level, at a very high level, they're totally different audiences. The ads you want to show them are totally different. You may bid differently on them based on who they are and what you want them to do and the value they bring to the business. And even how you assign budget may be different for these audiences as well. So even at that level, it's completely different, and start with that. And I suppose hopefully you'll get to a point there where you can evolve that strategy into what we would call a million tailored journeys, and bring, say, your potential customers down and segment them again. But I would say start simple, don't get it overcomplicated right at the start. Measure your results and then gradually evolve that audience strategy. And it can become, and often does become, really advanced once you start to see the learnings of it and the benefits for the clients.
Brilliant. So start simple, do the simple things very, very well, and then look to some of the more sophisticated solutions.
Definitely, and leverage that data that's available to you, because if you combine that audience behavior with the search term, it just makes all of that targeting just way richer. On
leveraging that data, then, are you, I suppose, strong advocates in terms of the right attribution model that will feed into your audience signals then?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's really important. And I suppose that's what we've touched on, is not looking at them in isolation and to pull all of the triggers.
Brilliant. Cool. Thanks for sharing. Let's move on to automated bidding. Okay, so what is automated bidding? Automated bidding is essentially the application of machine learning, okay? Whether we're using target cost per acquisition, target ROAS, or even eCPC, as we mentioned. Target CPA, target ROAS, and other automated bidding solutions can, have a little bit of confusion around them, unnecessary confusion, but there is that slight bit of confusion because it's quite new to the market. How would you, approach applying some automated bidding strategies across historically manually run campaigns?
Well, I think the first thing is make sure you have enough data and make sure that you know what you're looking for, and what results are most important for your client, because it really depends again on what the client is looking for. And then once you know what bid strategy you're kind of considering, then it's just really a case of testing and implementing a bid strategy, waiting for maybe a couple of weeks, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then looking at results and just continually testing, I think, and altering the bid strategy slightly if needed. But yeah, I think it's just a test and learn kind of period.
Great. Thanks, Katie. Have you seen, would you be an advocate, let's say, of automated bidding solutions, or have you seen strong results? Anything you can share with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think we have seen really, really good results. It depends on what you're looking for. How much data you have in the account definitely has a huge impact, and also what bid strategy you're actually using and how you're using it. But yeah, we have seen really, really strong results. Like, it really depends. So like some campaigns might be using target CPA and some might be using like target search page in the same account. So yeah, I think there's a different job kind of for every bid strategy, and we have seen really, really good results. Some better than others, but yeah.
Cool. So I suppose as a quick recap here, you've heard it from the experts themselves. So, start off with attribution, look at, rolling out data-driven, try understand the full user journey, the different touch points and assigned value. Then look to, create the strong call to action ads for a mobile first world, as you said, Claire. Layer your audience solutions, be it remarketing, but start simple and then look to expand. And then look, finally, let some of the, automated solutions do some of the heavy lifting to free up some time for strategic thinking and so on. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Have you any last, I suppose, farewell words for Elevenses viewers today?
Yeah, I suppose when it comes to the 4A's, we would find it's important not to look at them in isolation. Okay. So obviously you have to start somewhere, and we would recommend starting with your attribution model, because once you've defined that, you have way more, I suppose, information about your client, and then work gradually through the other three. So it is important to, I suppose, start somewhere, work through them. It may take a little bit more time than you think, but it's worth the investment of your time to get it right, because we really feel when you use all four together, it makes the biggest impact for your clients.
Brilliant. And Katie?
No, just thank you for having us, I think.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure. So yes, viewers, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you enjoyed our 4-part series in the 4A framework. We do encourage you to, learn, ask questions, get in touch with your account managers, re-watch some of the episodes. It's been a pleasure. Thanks a million for, joining us for this historical moment of Elevenses first. You're very welcome. So yes, as always, we'll be back again in 2 weeks. Have a great day. It's been a pleasure.